This is episode 120 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Gio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel, I played Rebels, Manzano.
Hey, I got top 4 in my faction.
William, I would have played CIS, Hagewood.
I would have done so good.
Wait. I saw the hand shaking. You got to do it. Somebody just subscribed.
Woo, 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 woo. And Matthew, TIE Advanced prototypes are good, I think. Cary.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
All right, so plan today, of course, is to talk about Gen Con. Specifically, today we're going to be focusing on the list. There was a lot that happened out there with new releases and takeaways from that. We're going to push that off until next week because I want to focus on the lists today. We're going to jump right into it because we got 14 lists to get through. That's a lot of lists, and I really want to break them down, talk about it. And we're going to be starting at the... Should we start at the bottom or the top? What do you guys think? What do you
Start at the bottom.
At the bottom?
Leave them in suspense.
So I'm going from 14 to 1 in the rankings before the cut happened, not necessarily from people who got knocked out of the top 16/14 to the final. All right, here we go. So let's start with talking about Josh Benjamin. Josh Benjamin, who I think made it to the
top 4.
There you go, top 4. And it was very similar to Carson's list, right? Anyway, let's jump into it. So right here, top 4. I'll go ahead and start with this one, just kind of give the format. So let's start by reading the list. So he has a Republic list, Anakin Skywalker with Delta 7B and R2A6. If you're not familiar with R2A6, it's a droid that I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of and is really, really good. It says, after you reveal your dial, you may set your dial to a maneuver of the same bearing of a speed 1 higher or lower. Also, then, Obi-Wan Kenobi with calibrated laser targeting. Yes, you heard me right. That is CLT. And rounding out the list, we got Rick Oli in the Naboo Starfighter with no upgrades, 181 points. That is a 19-point bid. Now, my question, gentlemen, is what do you think? What's the strategy here? What are the tools that Josh bring to get himself all the way to the top 4? Matt, let's go ahead and start with you.
Well, I'm going to start off with, I think Obi-Wan with CLT is probably one of the best pieces in the game right now. I mean, we didn't see it before because calibrated laser targeting would have been 8 points on him, and Obi-Wan was like 6 points more. So he went from a 61-point ship to a 51-point ship that can punish by being an ace, but also can. He's a support ship. You know, he's like, you spent a focus. Well, here's another one, or And if he's not doing that, he's a ship that has essentially 3 focuses,
right? Which
is super good. And and then Anakin's just a solid piece because he hits hard, especially with Delta 7B. And Rick naked is pretty good. He's predictable, but he's, if you can't, especially I'm kind of biased to the 1 hards, but him always going faster, it gets a little annoying.
He almost always has a 3 bank, 3 hard. That's what you're gonna see on that dial a lot of times. Will, any thoughts?
I am super surprised on not only the bid. I mean, the bid makes sense, but I'm surprised of how deep it went, and not even including like any type of upgrade on Rick. The other thing I'm very surprised about is no Regen in this list. No R2 droids, nothing like that. So he must have to actually like keep engaged. Sometimes you can just like take 3 shields off of Anakin. You scored 44 points or so, and then the Jedi will just run away, get that shield back, get those 44 points back. But in this list, if you get halved, you have to turn around and make sure you score those points yourself as well. So it would lend itself to a very aggressive style list, which is kind of weird for the 3 ace archetype.
Yeah. I think this is a combination of really good piloting and really good luck in the draw and the matchmaking, because while obviously he made top 14 and he went 6-1 during the tournament, so obviously he did well. But I also think it has some very clear drawbacks. Usually when you're building a good list, you want to have an out in case in case you end up with a bad matchup. William talked about the regen. You want to be able to set that regen, but this list is very predictable. Anakin is really the only one that can potentially do something to try to avoid a block. And right now with Mace and Sense, a lot of the different ships, even me, what I flew Luke, and I had Sense on Luke. It's just so easy to get a block in, especially on a naked Rick, and just really punish these ships really hard if they set the wrong dial. So versus a swarm and versus a ship or a list that has ace, I think this needs some really good, either really good variance or really good matchmaking, or you're gonna have to fly your butt off way above somebody else in order to do this. So I actually find this to be a suboptimal list, probably flown by a really good player and getting friendly matchups is the way I see this. I wouldn't have it worked for him. He got top 14, but did he get past top 14, or did he? And
Yeah, he was top 4.
Yeah.
Top 4.
So good on him. But again, I think it has some matchups that it's going to have an uphill climb against.
So I want to make a quick note here. The fact that out of the 14 people who made it into the top cut, 11 of them actually were played on the stream. We have amazing video there, so make sure you go back and watch it. Currently, the stream's only available in its pieces in which the internet held up. Ideally, if I had a stable internet connection, it would be one video per day. But you'll find it out there. There's a playlist. It'll be linked in the description below. But Matt, I want to talk about your game. So in your game versus Josh, one of the things I noted versus, for instance, Carson list, and I said the weakness in this list is the fact that it doesn't have regen, right? And it's going to get punished if ships can shoot it. You managed to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's actually the one thing that I would change on his list would be to add regen. I know he wanted the deep 19-point bid. I'm totally down for giant bids. I'm from St. Louis, which we go crazy there. But regen on Anakin or Rick, because mainly Anakin, because he's rolling 2 dice. He kind of needs it, because there's potential that if you just don't happen to get an arc dodge and you just get one lousy roll, which is exactly what happened to him. I got 3 hits and he got 1 lousy roll, and I took 3 damage, and now he had to engage me being a dodgy ace list.
Yeah. So and that was, I think, the gambit that Josh brought here, right? He's like, you know what, I'm going for the big bid, and that's what's got me being able to be the ace almost 100%. I would say probably 100% of the time, being able to move last is how I'm going to try to win games. Obviously, it got him really far. But yeah, so really cool list, an interesting way to take this Republic archetype and go with a huge bid. Now, here's the question. You know that there's people out there, guys, that are going to look at this 19-point bid and go, can I go any deeper? Now, I know there's only 3 upgrade cards in this list. If somebody wanted to be over the top, crazy, what are they taking out of here?
I'd say switch Delta 7B down to CLT as well. And I would actually move R2A6 to OB, but still, look at how much that just dropped for Anakin. That's they went from 181 to 166 by switching to calibrated laser targeting.
Yeah, that does, and switching them, don't it doesn't even make a difference. The
No,
cost
I
here.
wouldn't. I would just leave them both at calibrated laser, and I mean that's 166.
34-point bid.
34 points, baby.
Oh man.
That is a deep bid. But I'm just saying that I think I wouldn't put it past some X-Wing players to say, you know what, I want to go deeper. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised.
So if I would have flown Republic, I actually was going to fly a 181. So we would have matched.
There you go. All right.
It would have been just Anakin and Rick. So
Oh, you were planning on flying a 2-ship list.
yeah, Anakin, Supernatural Anakin, and Advanced Sensor Rick. Yeah.
Seems solid. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next list here. So coming in 15th place, excuse me, not 15th, 13th place, it was Todd Grubbs out of Indianapolis. And let's go ahead and break down that list, Will.
Okay, well, this is a pretty standard Poe and 3 A-Wings. I guess the non-standard part about this is that all 3 A-Wings are named. He's got Poe Dameron, what I refer to as Skinny Poe, which is Heroic, R4, S-Foils, and Black One. 73 points, super effective in-game ship. The A-Wings are Lulu with crack shot, Tally with crack, and Greer. Greer is the, after you execute a maneuver, you can rotate your arc ship, and that one has heroic and advanced optics. This is very interesting to put optics on Greer, because I guess he's shooting rear arc most of the time, whereas the crack shot and the crack shots on Lulu and Tali really emphasizing their front arcs then.
It kind of makes them a double threat there, right? Because the A-Wings in general, they don't want to be fully engaged because there's that point where like a normal ship would have to come in, but they're like, nah, man, I'm out.
Yeah, and Greer's going to get his, he's going to get like boost, rotate, focus more often than the other 2 ships who might have to go without a token, like a focus token or a evade token, anything like that. So it makes sense. It also makes him a little bit more expensive because he's probably the weakest link in your list. Because Tally's Ice 5 and has the support ability. We all understand Lulu and Poe. That's nothing new. Very good, affordable. Well, maybe not affordable these days, but for Lulu, but very good punch for their point cost.
Absolutely.
I didn't see. What is? Let me ask you guys.
Yeah.
What is the value of heroic these days? Because in this list, only 2 of the 4 ships are running heroic. Do you need heroic? Is it just what's the difference?
I'm going to say for this specific list, it was 100% worth it because that's what got them into the top 14.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, that was against Tyler.
Yeah.
I heard that on the rumor. Someone was keeping me updated.
There was
on it.
I think the game was like 13 points to 19 points. So like there was nothing taken off the board. And then the very last shot was 4 blanks with Poe, who heroic them into 3 hits, I think, and knocked Soontir out. It was a crazy match to watch. It's one of the few matches where no damage was done that I thoroughly enjoyed watching the entire time.
Yeah, because there was a lot of cat and mouse in that game. You know, who's going to be the aggressor here? I'm trying to block with my A-Wings. Now I'm trying to block with my TIE Fighters. I was really happy with a lot of the games that we got streamed this weekend. It was awesome. Marcel, your thoughts on the list?
I love it. That's actually something I was thinking of when I was building lists for Kayla and she was trying to think of what to take, this is one of the ones that I actually put together. The only difference between what I put together for her and what he has is advanced optics and R4. I had actually BB on Poe and heroic crack shack on the others, and less of a bid, but it's very similar. I think it's really strong. I mean, it's Poe is good. Again, right now with so much sense around, or maybe it's just I've been facing so much sense, and also I've been flying so much sense. I get very nervous about flying aces that don't have a way to mitigate, the bumps. And not only sense. Let me put it two ways: with ships that are flying sense, and also ships that are flying, or people that are flying a lot of 6 and 7, maybe even sometimes 8 ship builds, and there's a lot of blocking going on. There's a lot of action denial going on. So that's why I did that with hers. But yeah, I actually like this list a lot. It's solid. All the A-wings are still, they're just so good. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, they can be anywhere at any time. They have the most time on target than almost any ship in the game. I mean, they have almost. I would venture to say that when you have more than 2 A-wings, you're going to have more time on target than even a Initiative 6 with a rotating arc. I mean, it's really good.
Yep. And any additional thoughts, Matt?
I think that Poe and 3 A-wings are a solid thing to fly now. Again, I think it was really just Rebel Beef that kind of just presented a challenge for them. And now that has fallen by the wayside, it's nice that I think we'll start to see resistance pop back up, especially with, they've got some new tools. So, but no, yeah, kudos to Todd for bringing them back up.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our next one, and this is Brad Stryczek. Will, am I saying his last name right?
I believe he pronounces it Stryczek.
Stryczek. All right.
Which is super funny because Ryan actually got it right, and Dee and Dallas were making fun of him for pronouncing it wrong. So props out to Ryan Farmer.
There you go. Pronouncer extraordinaire. All right, so this is the list in the cut that had the least number of upgrade cards, and that's a total of 0. 0.
It's got to be the list with the fewest amount of cards total, right?
I think so. So just 3 ships here. Marcel, what's this list?
Good Lord. I lost against it once. Actually, I lost against it. That's what knocked me out the cut in Adepticon. Lieutenant Tavson, naked, which is the one that when you it's the Upsilon shuttle when Upsilon shuttle when you shoot it, it gets to take an action. Starkiller base pilot, Upsilon shuttle that is just basic generic. He used to have the initiative 1 that would give you additional stress, but I think with the points changed, he had to take that
Tavson,
out. Yeah, he had that, and then he also had the one that gives you double stress, the crew that gives you double stress before.
Nope, he did not. He was running no upgrades before too.
Yeah,
really? We have a video of it. The Iowa regional. Check it out.
And then Kylo Ren. Again, no upgrades. And I think more than anything, I think he just really has a lot of reps with it, and it fits his style, and he flies it really well. I've seen other people try to do it because he's had a lot of success with it at different hyperspace trials. He had success with it at Adepticon. He had success with it here. I think he's just really good at it. So sometimes you just find something that fits you, and it fits like a glove. So it doesn't matter if it's the best list or not. It fits your style, and you're just good with it.
Matt?
Yeah, Brad was actually my only loss during Swiss. He got Jendon and the Grand Inquisitor, and I got half on Kylo, and I think the baby Starkiller base pilot. But yeah, the thing is like what I like about this list is I have no clue how to approach it. I don't know what to shoot. I know I never want to shoot Tavson, and then Kylo is squirrely enough to where I may not get to shoot him. So it's pretty much, well, I'll try the Starkiller based, but also that it typically means I'm staring down 2 4-dice guns with Kylo flanking. So it's a solid list. And like Marcel said, Brad knows how to fly it incredibly well. I've seen him almost making, a hyperspace, he was in Bloomington, I believe, did really well there. And at Adepticon, he did really well. And obviously here he did really well. He got to top 4 as well. So he's got this list mastered.
Yeah, he knows exactly what to do. Will.
It's funny that you say that, Matt, that he was, let's see. So you faced Josh in the top 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad was licking his lips to see you at the final table. He was
I did not want to see him again.
He didn't make it there, unfortunately, but he was already thinking about the matchup, which is super interesting. No, Brad knows what's up with this list. It, as you said, that it doesn't present you a good target. He flies Kylo very smart, tries not to stress Kylo, so that he has the option to coordinate Kylo if need be. A little coordinate from Tavson, then a little boost barrel roll from Kylo, and Kylo could, in theory, block you, which doesn't make any sense. But the possibilities are there, and oh man, as much as I like the list, I hate Upsilons. Oh my, they're so frustrating.
They are. The fact that they get 1 defense die it just annoys the heck out of me.
I mean, they have all the best things in the game. 4 attack dice, 12 health, and reinforce. What else do you?
And a 2 hard.
Yeah, it'll like 2 hard.
I would just, oh man.
I know. They're Upsilons, but you have to fly them though, right? Like I couldn't fly 2 Upsilons like that. So
one of the common things you hear people say when you see Upsilons in the table is like, "Oh, just get behind it. Just get behind. It's fine." Well, when you have a player that knows what they're doing, and they're doing like this weave pattern essentially, where one Upsilon is always covering the other one, and when he has all 3 ships, there is no way to get behind easily without being punished by the other 2. So it's, when played correctly, it's not that easy. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on?
No, just Brad once again proving you don't need upgrades.
Upgrades, don't want them, don't need them. All right, next one here was probably for me the most surprising out of all the lists. Maybe second most surprising. I'll get back to the most surprising here in a few. And that is Sean Huynh bringing a 2-ship list into the finals. A Rebel 2-ship list, which most Rebels did not do really well in the tournament. He had Han Solo with Luke Skywalker Gunner, R2-D2, Saw Gerrera, and engine upgrade. Then Wedge Antilles with Lone Wolf, R2 Astromech, and S foils. Thoughts on this list, Matt?
This is a variant of what I flew in Bloomington because I flew Han Wedge, except for my Wedge had afterburners, and I didn't have Saw. Well, I guess that's because it was hyperspace, but it's just the combination of just having the high initiative is super strong. But what I think is pretty crazy about this is I know day one when I was walking around at Gen Con, there was swarms everywhere. And when I played it at Bloomington, that was what scared me, because I was just trying to stay at range 3 and have Han plink off some damage while Wedge just kind of ran around trying not to engage at all. So I don't know. I'm curious how often he used Saw, because Saw is kind of expensive and it's self-damage, but with R2 you're self-healing. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
maybe those turns in which if he didn't have anybody shooting at him and he had that shield laying around, like, let's go ahead and use it. I'm not getting shot anyway.
I feel like it would be a great early game tool. Like I wouldn't necessarily do it when like it is R2D2 shield, but when like you said, if no one's shooting at me, if they went all in on Wedge, yeah, I'll make them all crits. Sounds good.
Yeah, especially if you're shooting at like a Gold Squadron, not Gold Squadron. What is it? What's the
V19s?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Gold Squadron troopers.
Okay, they're Gold Squadron Trooper. Okay, and or any kind of vulture or anything like that, and you're like, oh, I just rolled 3 eyeballs, and you're like, well, you're gonna eat a bunch of crits right now.
Sad days, sad days. Marcel?
Oh, first I gotta say I'm so proud of Sean.
Oh yeah,
So,
man.
proud of Sean, that's my guy. That's my guy. So, I remember what was it like 3-4 years ago. When I was still living out in the suburbs, and I was Sean actually called me. I didn't know him. He reached me out on Craigslist because I was still selling some extra stuff that I had, and I sold him his original core set and like ships and stuff. Him and his buddy, and then we started playing together at fair games. Anyway, I'm just being nostalgic here. I'm just so happy for the guy. He's such a good guy, and it's such a wholesome list. Actually, I can't believe I'm saying it's such a wholesome list. But now without without the illicit slot on it, it is a wholesome list.
More wholesome. It is. Its tools have changed a little bit, right? I mean, the engine upgrade, Luke Skywalker, is a really good combo.
It is, but it's still susceptible to getting blocked. Where before with cannon and the the stopper that was not. I mean, it was not. It's a completely different list. That was not wholesome. This is wholesome. And I saw the match that he had. I don't even know where it was. I think it was like round 5. I was at a restaurant eating, and I was like eating and watching the stream at the same time, where you had him against the Republic Swarm.
Yeah,
the Sinker Swarm. He got that 3 soft bank that he barely nicked, and
my goodness, that was crazy.
Was that if whoever's listening, find that match on YouTube and watch it. That is a ridiculous match. And also when he YOLO'd and went 4 straight with Wedge into like 4 range 1 shots. It's I got nothing to say about the list. I would never fly the list, but good on him. I just had fun like seeing him go through the ride.
Yeah, and one of the things that I have to note here, Sean, I'm just going to go ahead and apologize. So we made a mistake initially on stream. So he won the game, but at the end, what ended up happening is his opponent, Carlos, overcommitted to a certain direction in the last turn, and that allowed Wedge to have a chance to regen over half, and that's what won. But we didn't see the... what's the thing called? The weapons disable token come out. Like he didn't place it on the table, so we missed him flipping the shield. So if you go back and watch it, at first we say that Carlos won, but he didn't. Sean won. So congratulations to Sean, and sorry Carlos for the drama initially because they looked over at us and they asked like who won, and I was like Carlos, and they were like, oh, I regen, and you're like, oh, sorry. So anyway. Not Marcel. Will, any other thoughts?
It's apparently out of all the things that are still good in X-Wing, Fat Han is still good. So
He will always be good.
I mean, if you could, it's another one of those ships. That's like if you could fly it, it's one of the best ships in the game. If you can't fly it, nope. Yeah.
I already said my thoughts, man.
Alrighty. So overall, there's Han Wedge 2-ship list. Those of you who like it, you know what to do. All right. Next, we come into just a list that I was hoping to see use of the Hyenna bomber in the top cut at a high level, and Richard Hines did not disappoint. He brought some Trade Federation drones and a couple of hyenas and put them to work. So here we go. We'll start with the hyenas, because people are always asking, like, what's the best way to build them out? The answer is, best way, I don't know, but he made it work this way, and it's with some upgrades you might not expect. So first, he had the Techno Union bomber. That is Initiative 1, with plasma torpedoes and the DRK-1 probe droids. Then he had a Bactoid prototype, also at Initiative 1, with landing struts and the Diamond Boron missiles. Now, you might be wondering, well, why, the Techno Union and the Bactoid are both Initiative 1, like why one or the other? Well, first, the Bactoid prototype is I believe a little bit cheaper overall, and it has an ability, or maybe it just has an ability.
It is more expensive than the Techno Union bomber because the Techno Union bomber can't hold diamond-borne missiles.
There you go.
Diamond-borne missiles is, I believe, a double missile slot.
And you have to have the reload. No,
that's the crazy bomb.
Oh yeah, that's the bomb.
So it's a double missile slot. So you have to be the Bactoid prototype, which actually isn't a bad ability while you perform a special attack of the friendly ship with numbered calculations, which is every ship in this whole list. So if anybody in your list has a lock on the defender, you could ignore the lock requirement. So it's just super easy way to shoot 3 dice attacks.
Yeah, and essentially the diamond
doesn't make any sense, but for some reason, Diamond-borne cheaper. They're just cheaper than barrage rockets, and you get basically the same effect.
Exactly. The Diamond Boron missile is if the ability goes off on those, it's gravy, right? It's just it's a 3 dice attack is what he brought it. And then he ends out the list with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Trade Federation drones with energy shells and grappling struts. And yes, he does use it on his stream game. He does. I think I had him once or twice on stream. Will, you flew a lot of Trade Federation drones, a lot of CIS. Let's have you start. Thoughts, break it down, whatever you want.
I haven't. To double check. So the one Hyenna, the plasma Hyenna, doesn't have struts for some reason, right?
No, it doesn't fit.
For some reason,
he's at 200 points.
All right. I guess I'm baffled by the diamond-borne missiles myself. I guess they're easier to shoot. I have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you that when I was building the list, I had to do a double take. I was like, wait, what? Are those diamond boron? And he goes, yeah. I went, oh, okay.
Sure, dude. If you think so. I mean, I it's really good. It's the only second edition salt missile, so it's got that going for it. It's the closest you can get to second edition harpoons. All right, so that's got to be good, right? Right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, just don't say that word.
Everybody just turned off the podcast right there. No, I'm out.
You know it is. But sure. I mean, if no one's running them, though, it's not that big of a deal. But that's very interesting. I mean, I haven't actually. I'm trying to play around with the struts, but it's like fourth dimensional chess with these guys. So not only do you have the ridiculous dial now and the weird linked actions and stuff, now you have to land on rocks. You can't fly through them or anything. You have to land specifically on them. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. What a weird thing. But I mean, beyond it flying weird, it shoots what? 7 3 dice attacks if it can double modified if it can pull it off.
Seems really good. Marcel.
Nothing to say. I mean, it's a strong list. It's a scary list. It's something that what was I saying earlier, that the people that want to bring non-regen Jedi, this is the kind of stuff you're going to have to get past. So either you have to be very clever about how you approach it, or lucky to not face against it. But yeah, it's really good. I mean, this one, you know, I actually, this is the first time that I see this list. I didn't see it while it was playing or while I was streaming. The one that I was watching was Adam Kemper's version. That he had the proximity mines on the bombers. But yeah, it's good to see that whether it's Adam Kemper's or this list right here, that the bombers are seeing some play. And when you think about it, I mean, they're you know, with 5 health, they just those 2 health alone is enough. You know, you're not going to get one shot anymore. Like the Trade Federation drones can get shot, so that gives you the, you know, then it makes a really interesting choice, target priority choice to the opponent. Do I get rid of that energy shell with 3 health, or do I get rid of the truly dangerous ships at 5 health? And most of the time, it's a lose-lose situation. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this type of list with just a gumbo of different droids. And this is the new. I think I even said it during the other week that this is like the new scum in terms of putting together shenanigans and putting together weird combos and things that just catch you off guard.
And Matt,
I actually really like the diamond boron missiles on this because I saw so many swarms that first day that it seemed like the right call. I got to watch Andrew Nucols fly against this in the top cut because I had the buy, so I was just sitting there watching them because whoever won that one I was going against, so why not get some study time in? But it was also a really awesome match, and because of that guy with the diamond boron missiles, he acted, you know, he was the bigs for that list. Everybody had to shoot at him because it was a sinker swarm that if that missile went off, it was going to wreck everybody's day. And then follow that up with a bunch of, you know, double modified energy shell charges, and it would have been terrible. So he had it drew everybody's shot for that first round into that one ship, meaning all your vulture droids were ignored so they could fire all their energy shell shots. So it's really good. The only thing that I think is weird, and I would like to hear what he says about plasma torpedoes on that list, because I'm not fully convinced they're awesome. I mean, they're probably worth their points, but I'm wondering if he could have just made that an energy shell charge as well, because that's still a 3-die in the way that with the Dork one probes, he would still be getting you know, a double modified attack. So I'm just curious if he got, you know, what he spent in them back out of them.
maybe it's just a thing where he's firing plasma torpedoes first and hoping as long as it hits, you get an extra damage. You're ahead on the damage curve. Maybe that was it.
Yeah. Well, and if you get rid of those shields, you know, that's a fair point, because if you get rid of those shields, those energy shell charges, those crits mean a lot more.
Yeah, and I think the value also there is, especially with all the regenning Jedi, assuming you can get them in your arc, being able to get rid of an extra shield there.
Yeah.
When you can't afford something with 4 dice, it has some value there.
Yeah, if you just get 1 hit, that means you get 2 shields. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue down our list. Next, we have Carson Rey, the eventual champion of the North American Championships, which is why I'm wearing my Gold Squadron heroic themed shirt today, available on our Teespring store, ! Merch, if you want to get one. Sorry, no, not the Resistance. Sorry, I had my dedicated sweater on. Devin, she's gone. She's gone. I had my Republic sweater on. Oh wait, it's right here. There it is. I know people who are listening at home, you can't see it. Right there. Boom. Dedicated. Though it's not in the list, but it's, you know, the theme word for for the Republic. So this list very similar to Carson Rey, champion here. Similar list to Josh Benjamin, who we talked about earlier. Also Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Rick, but now swapping out a couple of things. Anakin Skywalker with Delta 7B, with the R2 Astromech, which is the regenning droid. Obi-Wan Kenobi with Sense. Now he has R2A6, being able to maneuver that dial around, also with CLT. And then Rick with the regenning R2 Astromech and Predator. Marcel, thoughts?
Well, this is the first one that we bring up that has a Sense. I've been talking about Sense for a little bit. And he's got regen on the ship that matters most, Anakin Skywalker. And he's also got a second regen with Rick. With Obi-Wan, he's got the ability to avoid those blocks in case this is just a really smart list. And it goes counter to that first list that we talked about, the top 14 list that was at 181. And it really makes you question, or it makes me question, like, if you're going to bring something that's in the high 180s, low 190s, I think if you're going to go for the bid, you have to go so low that, it's got to be so low. But, here Carson just said not caring so much about the bid, just he's got sense to cover his back in case he loses the bid, and just going with the most efficient. It's just a really efficient list. It's hard to kill. It's got a lot of exits. The double regen on it is brutal. And even if you go after Obi-Wan, a force ship with the ability to reposition twice and the ability to change its style, with 3 agility and basically a permanent focus, it's not easy to kill. And I think we have somebody on the cast tonight that can attest to that.
Yeah, so there you go. That perfect transition, Marcel. Fantastic. So, Matt, you faced this list. It unfortunately stopped you from getting that championship. Thoughts, experience, give it to us.
I definitely think this is a better rendition of Josh Benjamin did a fine job. Obviously, he made it way up to the top 4, but Carson's list I do believe is better, because had it not been for regen, when I flew against it, Rick would have been dead. I think Anakin. I think I got Anakin down to a hull. So if he regen twice, I can't remember. That means Anakin would have been dead. So then it would have been a game. But the regen helped him, control a lot more than control the points when I couldn't just put too much damage in. So when I'm just plinking off damage, he can just take away those points. So yeah, I think. And then this has the version of Obi-Wan that I like, where it's just CLT, and like Marcel was saying, Sense is silly good. And if with Sense, I feel like you don't have to worry about taking a bid as much anymore, which is, I think that's the smart choice.
And Will, anything additional there?
My only I was just agree with everything these guys said, but Obi-Wan might be the only 60 or the only blocker I would pay 62 points for. That is
I've got an Anakin that's gonna fight you.
Well, that's fine. You can fight him. I'm just gonna try to block you the whole game.
My Anakin moves first with the Force, then he gets to move again. Put collision detector, intimidation, advanced proton torpedoes in case he misses a block. He still hits you with 5 dice.
Is this the Naboo Starfighter one? Or?
Yeah, that's what
okay,
I actually won.
How are you?
Yeah, I won 5-0 with him in the hyperspace. And I just had Mace with Sense and Anakin basically just being a permanent blocker. It was lovely. So, and at 60 points, so not quite 62. So maybe you got it.
Yeah, This thing is beautiful. I like this list. I mean, it just is gonna win games every time. That's good. That's a tough list.
Well, I want to make sure we take a moment and say congratulations to Carson Rey, the champion, the new North American champion. Congrats! And if you're not aware, he is one of the hosts on Radio TCX. So go ahead, look him up, take a listen. Awesome podcast. Jokingly called Radio FFG because they're from Minneapolis and their home store. I guess for Carson, he moved to Colorado, but they used to be at FFG. So go listen to Radio FFG, guys. Alrighty, so now we move over to the Resistance. The pilot for this one was Ethan Van Sant. And let's go ahead and break down this list, Marcel.
Sure. Now, you see, I have two. There's just so much diversity. So much. I love these lists so much. And Ethan's a great guy. So again, congratulations to Ethan. So he flew the Finn with Heroic. A lot of people, Ryan Stanazewski and a couple other people were loading Finn out a little more expensively with Perceptive Copilot and stuff like that. But basically, this is the Finn that it's always going to have an extra. Is always going to be roll. This is like a Rebel Han in a small ship, low initiative. I mean, it's always re-rolling attack. It's always re-rolling defense. And on top of that, it's got Vinny's ability of adding focuses whenever he wants with no true downside to it. Just Pava with BB and just the S foils. And I think the BB is there to get you out of a tough situation if you're going to bump, more than anything, just to get that additional reroll when you really need it at just 3 points. And a Red Squadron pilot with Heroic. And finally, a naked Chewbacca, a naked Resistance Chewbacca. That is like, how many people, if you would have took a poll of give me the top 50 ships that you think you'll be on there, I don't think anybody would have chosen Chewbacca, Resistance Chewbacca.
Especially not with this combination of ships.
No, they probably would have took it with like a bunch of A-wings or all the pods or something like that. So now not with other beefier ships that are really tough. All three of those ships that are sporting Chewbacca are really tough to kill. I mean, the T7, the Red Squadron is probably the easiest one to kill, but with Heroic and 7 health, it's really not that easy. So yeah, everybody thinks that when you fly Chewbacca, you have to automatically put things that are going to pop right away so you can get that second shot. But Ethan put it together in a better way. He's going to make you work for killing any of them. And then when you kill them, he'll make you pay for it.
Okay, he's going to punish you for sure.
Yeah, I love this list. And I think he said he would swap out the Red Squadron for 2 tubes or whatever they call Beathan or Bastion, I think it is. The one that gets the free...
The X-Wing? Are we talking about an X-Wing? Because you talked about a U-Wing.
The one that gives you the free target lock when somebody takes...
Yeah, that's Lieutenant Bastion.
Got it.
Yeah, that guy. He would swap out the red for the Bastion.
It's the same amount of points. Still,
yeah.
Because you can't put Heroic on Bastion.
Any thoughts, Matt?
Honestly, I don't know how this list functions. I didn't get to see. Well, I got to see the last 3 minutes of a match against Tommy Adams where Luke blew up Chewy and Chewy blew him up, and it went to double final salvo, which was interesting. But I don't know. I'm still. I haven't got to wrap my head around that Fen that likes to super stay alive. It is like Marcel was saying. It's weird that it's actually a beefier ships that are with Chewbacca, because you do typically see ships that might pop quicker, so you can trigger Chewy more often. But you don't want to have your ships blowing up being part of the strategy of your list. So I think this is it's a smart move.
Yeah, so maybe the idea here is just, Ethan wants to be in the thick of it, in the fight, and that when things do pop, is there to punish. Chewbacca's there to punish. Of course, if Chewbacca's the first target, then it doesn't quite work, but if they go after Finn, Jess, or the X-Wing, then that could work in his favor.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole. I didn't see the games. I only saw part of one of his Top Cut games, and he was kiting with Chewbacca a bit, and that's probably what he's doing. He's making you either, if you're going to go after Chewbacca's, with a boost, even if it's a red boost, that dial gives you the ability to run away and kind of stay at distance if you need to, while the other ships are going to punish you. But if you do go after the other ships, you're going to work hard to kill one, and when you do kill one, there's punishment right behind it.
And maybe that's why he wants to switch to Lieutenant Bastion. Is, well, first of all, Bastion's got a really cool ability, but him being I2, maybe that actually might draw some heat from Chewy. If you don't want, if they're not biting on Chewy, chasing after him, you can. Bastion is a target that you want to initiative kill, because if you don't, he's probably going to get target lock focus on you. And a T-70 with target lock focus, it can put the hurt in.
Wait, I got one. I don't got much to say about this list. Wasn't covered, but I just want to point out that it is eerily like Mark Moriarty's list that we're going to get to later. Think about
foreshadowing. Foreshadowing.
It'll make a lot more sense when we talk about Mark's list, but those two lists are eerily similar in like what they're trying to do. So I guess that's a valid strategy. Like, I don't know. It's very interesting when we compare them. But go ahead, continue.
So we're going to continue down our list of lists, but before that, I want to give a shout out to our patrons, because people have been asking, Dion, when's the next Patreon stuff shipping out? What's coming up? So everything is now ironed out. There was a bit of an issue with the artist that we use, because he's going on vacation and he's got a new son and he's just a little bit busy. So here's the lowdown. So we have a total of, I went a little bit over the top. There are 6 different cards coming. 6. So we have the Inq series. We have Darth Vader in the Inq series, Sabine, and Forlom, which we have showed you guys pictures of those before. But then people wondering, well, what about the plastic? We want the plastic, Dion. We want those spot gloss cards. They're coming as well. We've decided it's going to be Rick Ali, General Grievous, and Major Von Reg. Those are going to be our 3 spot glosses. And if you're not sure how the Patreon works, so if you're at the top level, you get all 3 of them. You get all 3 of the spot glosses. If you're at the top level, then there's like the $10 level. You'll get the main pilot for it, which is going to be Major Von Reg. Is going to be the one where everybody gets that one. And then there's going to be paper copies for everybody. Like you no matter what, you end up with all 6 copies. So if you're wondering how that's going to happen, that's that. I am going to have sketches for them this week, this is Wednesday. So it'll be next week. You guys will be able to see them on stream. I'll show them off. But the finished product I won't have for a while, because he's going on vacation and stuff. And Marcel's really bad at remembering to hit the mute button before he takes his headset off. But that's okay. We'll move on. So going on to our next list, the person who is in spot number 7 is Andrew Nucols, the very own Curled Paw Creatives, bringing the Sinker Swarm. Matt, you got to play, I believe, against this. Thoughts?
This was the one list that when I saw it day one, that I was like, I absolutely do not want to fly against this list, because one thing my Inquisitors can fall to is sustained fire, and that's potentially 6 double modified shots coming in. So it jousts incredibly well. So don't if you're flying against it, you cannot joust it. Do not joust this list. You're gonna have a bad time. So Sinker is durable enough to withstand a lot of fire. So you're not, unlike Howl, where it's like you could get like 2 lucky shots on Howl, burn Iden, and Howl can die on that second lucky shot. Sinker is not going to fall to 2 lucky shots, and If you're a good pilot, you can definitely keep your teammates in range 1 to 2 in your side arcs. And the torrents, they're not good ships, I want to say, but like with sinker and the fact that they have 5 health each, there's too much there to just I don't know, you can't just like target them first to alpha them out of the way, because there's too strong of a chance they're going to stick around. And then Rick with I believe he had Regen, is that right?
Yeah, R2 Astromech.
Yeah, he's just a solid side ace just to harass you from the side while the main jousting element is coming at your face.
Bark. Yeah, man. So this is a list I think showed up in the Paris System Open, if I'm not right. Am I remembering that correct? I think that was one of the first times we've seen it. It's hyperspace legal, right? Completely hyperspace legal, and I think it's something that is not going anywhere. So one of the challenges, though, that I've seen people when attempting to fly this is, can you actually keep the sinker rerolls relevant? Now, the V19s, by themselves, of course, 2 dice can do damage in 2nd edition, which is a good thing, but having that reroll there really keeps them consistent. Marcel, thoughts?
Well, the first thought is like, yay! This guy's on my team, and yeah, I mean, Andrew's going to be one of the members representing Team USA, and this is actually the list that me, Tyler, and Andrew were all flying the list that we're going to fly at XCC. The European Team Championships. So I'm happy that all 3 of us did relatively well. Andrew did the best. This list it's not any. As soon as the points change happened, I mean, this list came up right away. I think it won a hyperspace trial in Florida like that within days of the points change, and ever since then, I think we've seen it several times, and we kind of knew that it was going to be, one of those lists that are going to be constantly at the top. That's why we actually put it on the team as one of the lists that we were going to have. It's just a really solid list. It's got rerolls. It's got a lot of It's got a lot of ships. It's got ships that are tough to kill. I mentioned earlier with the Hyenna bombers, how much of a difference there is between the 2 agility 3 hull versus the 2 agility 5 hull. And in this case, you've got 5 of them, and you've got 4 of them. And then you've got a regen plus a 9 agility, a 9 health Arc 170. It's just good. How much health is it? It's 29 plus an additional 5 and 2 regen 7. That's a 36 potential 36 health list. Just think about that for a sec. That's a lot of health, and it's a lot of arcs too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's I think you're going to keep seeing this for a long time, and even if they do shenanigans with the points and try to bump this down a bit, I think with the regen on Rick, or even Rick in general, you've got the potential to to switch Rick to Anakin or do some other stuff. Maybe put Padme in there. There's things that you can do to swap it around if they try to nerf it.
Absolutely. And Will. Sorry, my cold medicine is kicking in, and my brain is starting to slow down.
You're okay. We just got a couple more lists to push through. I am constantly surprised about how bad torrents are, but man, you get 4 of them together, and those things can really do work. Constantly surprised by it. And also, how is healing Rick only 46 points?
He's only got
really
2
good.
die.
Oh, he's only got 2 die. Okay.
Yeah, but he's always rolling 3 though.
Yeah, Lulu also only has 2 die.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's that list. I think it's going to be a meta staple in both hyperspace and extended. And let's continue down the list. Next, we get to another 2-ship list with a ship that just got released, just got re-released in Wave 4, and that is Rear Admiral Sheranu in the Decimator. Will, go ahead, break this down for me.
All right, so it starts with Rear Admiral. He's got Hotshot Gunner and Darth Vader crew for stripping tokens. Got a shield upgrade, Dauntless title, so he can still get his reinforced even when he bumps. And he's got Proxy Mine, so you can't follow him either. He also has, so the other ship is Whisper. Whisper's got Juke, passive sensors for a target lock, stealth device, because you bet. I mean, I have no idea what a stealth device, but if you can keep it on, amazing.
I think that's just that idea of having focus evade 3 dice and hope, right?
I mean, 3 dice is pretty good, especially when you got a couple of aids. Then Fifth Brother, so you can have a stronger offense between passive sensors giving you a target lock, and now you got Fifth Brother and Juke as well. So you're shooting fairly good. And Rack is no slouch either. I think Hotshot Gunner and Darth Vader might be a little bit of overkill, but
I want all your tokens.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, you're probably fighting more than one ship at once, so stripping somebody's token and stripping somebody else's token sounds good.
I mean, it could be some swarm tech. We forgot to mention his name, Samuel Rothstein, which, by the way, shout out. Another classical musician. He is a clarinetist in the Indiana Symphony Orchestra. He said, "Hey, Dion, you want to come see a concert?" I was like, "Yeah." So that's gonna happen. So shout out to him. Marcel, what do you think when you see Rack Whisper making a resurgence here?
I think the first thing I say is to the people at Pastimes is "I told you so." Yeah, no, because I even think I was telling you, Dion, because I wanted to fly Rack, not Whisper. I wanted to fly Rack Rexler.
Rexler, I think, is the wrong choice. This is better.
The wrong choice, the right choice. Everyone was saying like 2 ships, it just aren't good in 2.0 right now. And
proven wrong by 2 people.
Yeah, I feel vindicated by the
by the results. Yeah.
Yeah, by the results.
But you know what? Let me stop you right here for a second. Maybe though, what we're learning is that we have viable options at 2 to 8 ships, which I mean is probably a good thing, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think one of the great things, maybe it's just because it's the Wild West meta right now, but right now, I mean, if you look at the top cut, all 7 factions are in the top cut. That's crazy. Like, Adepticon was like Rebels and Quad Phantoms from what I remember. So to switch from that to this, where every faction and only like 2 somewhat similar lists make the top cut, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
is it weird that both the Rebels and the Imperials resorted back to 2-ship builds?
And they faced off too. That's the funny part.
Yeah. Yeah, that must have been a great game. I only walked by and saw pieces of it, and even this list. I think I forgot his name on here, but he was on here commenting earlier. He's watching the stream or was watching the stream at one point.
Samuel.
Yeah, but yeah, it's. I'm just looking at it, and even he's got some choices on there that I'm like, about, but it made it work. You know, for example, stealth device. William already said, like stealth device, trying to scratch your head about it. Also, the absence of Tua, because Tua just fits in with Rear Admiral so well in case you get bumped or in case you don't know where an Initiative 6 ship is going to be shooting you from. And you have the ability to just hold your action or take a different action and save that till to reinforce the proper side during engagement. So even this list, I think that this list can be optimized, and it made it as far as it did, at least top 8. It's just I don't know. It feels good. It feels good. I feel when you see some of the Facebook pages that are some of the more popular Facebook pages and just Reddit and things like that, you can start getting bogged down with all the negativity and all the like, oh, this is wrong, this is bad, this list is broken, that's broken, this is broken. I want flow rules. I hate the flow rules.
we haven't taken the time to talk about those on the show yet. I'm sure,
but
I'm sure,
you know what I mean?
I'm sure we will.
But when you see results, to Matt's point, when you see results like this, where basically all the factions are being represented, all the different archetypes are being represented, and basically a good combination of having the right matchups, having the right variants, and also just being a good player. It's anybody's. It's like football. It's anybody's game on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it's a reality that people like. There's like I'll use myself as an example. I don't feel that I am good at list building personally. There are some, like, when obvious things come up in list building, like, oh, that upgrade doesn't make sense, sure, but as like a list creator, I don't think that is a strong suit. So me, as a person who's not great at building lists, will look at this top 14 and go, wow, look at all my options. And I'm hoping that this like you said, Matt, the Wild West meta will lead to the upcoming Premier events having this amount of list diversity, because I think as a player, it's more interesting to play against a bunch of different lists. As a streamer, a little selfish here, it's more interesting to be able to commentate and talk about a bunch of different lists. And I think it's a sign of the game being really healthy. I don't think, and I talked to Carson a little bit at Gen Con, and he said, he had a lot of close games. Very few of them were like blowout victories, which means that anybody in this top 14 could have walked away with the championship, which I think is just a really good sign for the game. So let's go ahead and jump into our next list. This is Mark Grawburg, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, coming in 5th. Mark Grawburg, representing Scum. Those of you who are wondering, where's my Scum list? Oh, don't worry. We haven't got to them yet. Well, this is the first one. Marcel, you want to. Go ahead. First thing, there's no autopilot drones, so I guess I don't know. Do you even want to read this list?
Well, normally I would say no. I'm still lobbying. I'm gonna recruit maybe like 40-50 people to get picket signs and make autopilot drone non-unique, and for them to print new autopilot packs that have stickers under them that you can stick them to any other medium or large base ship and just say, I'm gonna glue myself to you. Call them suction cups, and then they can
suction cups configuration card.
Yeah, the suction cup configuration cup.
Oh, okay.
Configuration. So don't never let me win worlds, because now you know what the card is going to be. And anyway, the reason I'm not completely mad at this is because this is yet another list that is on our Team USA. On our Team USA
roster,
roster. D-Yoon is flying this exact list.
Vindication.
So D-Yoon, we were giving D-Yoon a little bit of hate, saying, why did you take Kavil instead of Talonbane Cobra with this? But D-Yoon is laughing at us right now, saying, Atasha. So yeah, I mean, it's a really solid list. I saw this. I actually saw it. I was standing by Brad when he played against this with his what was it, top 8 match? And
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's just super solid list.
Did we say what the list is?
No, I was just kind of hoping that he would accidentally flow
we have
into
more
it.
people than just stream. I forgot. I'm a visual person, so let me visualize it for the people listening in their cars. So it's the list is 3 initiative 5s. It starts with basically what makes this list work, which is Ketsu Onyo in the Lance Pursuit craft. He has Fearless and Shadowcaster. So Ketsu's ability is if you have somebody in your front arc and mobile arc at the same time, start of combat, you give him a tractor beam. Shadowcaster title says if you land a hit with the same with the same parameters, you give them a tractor beam, so you can actually tractor beam medium base ships as well. And then you have Maul, just more than anything, to have that extra focus token. And Fearless, because you're always going to be at range 1. That's basically all you're doing. And then outside of Ketsu, you have Kavil with Dorsal Turret and Veteran Turret Gunner, because Kavil is really good when he gets to roll so many dice. He gets to roll a total of 7 dice at range 1 when he gets in there against a tractor ship. And finally, Ultrarock with Predator. And Ultrarock again is the one that at range 1 gets a free evade plus gets to steal. Not steal, gets to
eliminate
green
delete,
tokens from the opponent.
Eat.
Now, is this is something that I don't know. Is it still just focus and evade, or now is it
just green tokens?
So it's green total?
I think so.
Yep, give me that reinforce.
Yeah.
Now it says when it's in your front arc, right? So it doesn't work with A-wings?
It doesn't work with A-wings when they're shooting out the back, correct.
Oh, but it does work out the front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so don't pair D against A-wings. Don't.
So
do
it's
it.
not
Has to be kind of like the ship ability. Terrak has to be in their front arc.
Got it. Even if their arc is facing back, if he's in front of them, it works.
Correct.
Sounds right.
Yep. So anyway, great list. It's just a really tough matchup. I think Brandon Prokos lost against this, and he hates it.
Well, I mean, it's designed to just delete a ship, right? That's what it's there to do. Tractor
Per
beam.
turn.
Right. Tractor beam you, or take your tokens, tractor beam you, and just beat you up, because each of these ships can put out damage. Will,
Yeah.
any extra thoughts for this one?
No. No, you did say, I gotta say what they are. I didn't go to Gen Con, but I was able to watch the stream a bunch. And you mentioned penalty points. I will say the funniest moment on the stream was when both Brad and this guy,
Yeah, Mark. Yep.
Mark, when they both got a penalty point for something that happened in the game. You can watch the stream and figure out exactly what was going on. But just their reaction of just like, what? I was like, well, just move on. Take your points and go. Stop bothering. He's got points for bothering the judge. It's so funny to me. I can't argue it. That's exactly how it should have gone down. But no, the list though is very great. You have to fly. I think actually all of these lists are like, there's not like an S tier list. All these tiers are like, well, if you could fly it. And this is definitely a perfect example. It's got a lot of things going on, so you got to make sure you line them all up right. This is definitely a list you could fly bad.
Right.
So a lot of props to Mark.
And Matt, anything extra?
I just want to say that whenever I see this list across from me, I don't like it, because it's a strong list. I think I'm a little less than 50% win ratio, so any list that can consistently beat me, I respect.
All right, so we found Matt Cary Kryptonite. You know what to do, St. Louis. Get it done. All right. how to beat on Matt Cary. All right, so let's keep going here. We get to Mark, Moriarty, and Will. We're gonna have you start with this, because you have some parallels to draw here, and I want to give you the chance to do that, sir.
So this is the first order list. Starts with 3 SFs. You got quick draw. Let me double check here. So 3 SFs that all have fanatical and special forces gunner. So the 3 dice out the front, or they're double shooting if their arc is in the back. The other one, the 2 of them are just Omegas. Just those 2 upgrades, fanatical and special forces gunner. And the third one's quick draw. Quick draw's got all the fancy stuff, which is pattern analyzer, afterburners, and fire control system. At 70 points, serious, I like to call them bullies out there, will get in your face and doesn't care if you shoot at them. And rounding out the list is Scorch, who's a foe who can stress himself for an extra red die. Now, doesn't this look exactly like Chewbacca 2T70s and Finn?
I see what you're saying. So you got something that retaliates, and a situational 3 dice gun, and just 2 other ships in there that are just there to be bruisers, right?
Yeah, two good, just consistent 3 dice attacks. One kind of like I shouldn't have 3 dice, but now I do, attacker, and then like a bully out there who you don't really want to shoot at, but kind of have to deal with at some point in time, which is like either Chewbacca or quick draw. So that correlation to me is very, very interesting. It reminds me of this is a deep throwback, but do you remember Paul Huber's World Championship list? Poe, 2 Ys and a Z.
Yes, I do. That was one of the first lists I played.
Isn't like that's this archetype, right?
Yeah.
That's very interesting to me. Though, like that archetype can still work too. Very, very interesting. I'm not playing that quick draw. That sounds scary, but
I'm sorry. I have to amend. That's one of the first lists I flew where I had success. I didn't finish that.
oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was bad at list building, and I was like, "Let me just copy the world champion."
Let's start there and figure out how that works, and then we'll make other things. Yeah.
Exactly. Matt, any thoughts?
No. Well, my biggest thought is TIE SFs are just really good. Whether you're running them with a special forces gunner, or you don't, and you just point that turret out the back, you have just about as much a time on target as a resistance A-wing, which is stupid good. And they're very tanky. 3 shields, 3 hull, backed by 2 dice. It's and they're cheap. They're cheap for that. So taking just the 2 generics, it was 2, right? Yeah, 2 of those, and then quick draw, like Will said, you don't want to shoot a quick draw, but you have to. So it's a solid list. He did a fine job building this one up.
Yeah, man, that was super, super good. Marcel?
Yeah, I mean, it's got 3 of my favorite ships on there. So, I mean, quick draw, the Omegas, and the Scorch. Yeah, I've been flying quick draw and Scorch a lot, and more recently been putting Omegas on the board, and maybe flying Omegas in Europe for the individual tournament. I've been thinking about that. So yeah, I mean, you take more than anything, it's just you take really efficient ships. You get ships that like Matt said, they're just really cost effective, and they've got a lot of time on target. The FO has it just has the choice to shoot 2 or 3 dice, and to know how good that is. And just looking at Lulo at 43 points, and they had to put Lulo up because of how good that is, and has the ability to switch between 2 and 3 die attacks based on making those choices. Scorch has that choice at the time of that it's going to shoot. and it doesn't even have to it gives the stress, but it doesn't even have to sacrifice its agility in return for it.
And the dial on the FO is so good as well.
It's good.
Like,
yeah,
it doesn't.
The heart. It's almost as good as the A-wings. I think the only thing that they're missing that the A-wings have is the three soft blues. Other than that, they're almost basically the same. So it's a super solid list. There's nothing to say against it. I've been preaching the strength of the First Order for a long time, at least in my little circle here. We got proved right. Thank you, Mark.
Well, I
and
think
by the way, Mark is messaging me right now as we speak. So let me go see what he
maybe
says.
he's going to give you some tips, some insight. Well, I think this is a
Let's see.
perfect. I'll stall by saying this is a perfect opportunity to give a shout out to another FO player who did really, really well, who we're proud of as a Gold Squadron team, and that is Kayla. All right, I want to give a shout out to Kayla, who she made top 4 in her faction, and congratulations, she was able to earn those FO dials.
Yeah, I'm super proud. I think because so for those of you who didn't follow, I actually started out the day 0-2, and I kept on playing because Kayla just kept on kicking butt, and I was like, okay, if she's still playing, I'm gonna keep playing. I'm not, I got nothing else to do, and she ended up flying First Order and got, like you said, top 4 in the First Order. And super proud. I was so psyched. I was running around telling everyone, like, hey, look how she's doing. I look.
If you haven't picked it up, Kayla's his girlfriend.
I think they all know by now.
Marcel's girlfriend. Well, not if it's a new listener. Can't assume
I
that
think they
it's
still figured it out. It doesn't take long. But yeah. First Order is really strong, and the SFs are super efficient. And actually saw Paul Heaver talking about it in the Minox, just about how good they were maybe about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And like you said, if the 3-time world champ is giving it praise, should probably listen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That man knows what he's talking about. All right, well let's move on here. We're getting towards the top, the pinnacle here. We have a resistance list that was flown by Ryan Stanazewski, who I think is in the chat right now. Hi, Ryan. So there was a couple of other podcasters who I could have reached out to be on the show, but I was like, they want to probably talk about it on their show. So if you don't know, Ryan Stanazewski's on Radio OCX, so I'm sure he'll talk about his run tomorrow. They actually also record live, which actually this is a perfect time to mention the fact that there will not be a League Night stream tomorrow. So for those of you who don't know, this weekend I'm going to be flying on Thursday, but this weekend is the Buenos Aires Open in Argentina, and it takes a long time to get to Argentina. So I will be spending Wednesday with my family, since I'm obviously going to be out of my house very many days this month. Basically, once I go to Sacramento, I will not be home until I've come back from Australia. So that's like 2.5 weeks. It's a long time. So I'm taking all the family time I can get. No League Night. So sorry, guys. I love you. You can put some gumboats in the chat for family time. And trust me, we had... How many rounds did we stream this weekend? 17? No, 18. 18 rounds. I'm almost sure that everybody hasn't watched all 18 rounds of that stream. Or some people are like hardcore, like gold to the heart, gold to the bone viewers. I'm sure they have. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's break it down. Let's break it down here. And Ryan, feel free to jump in the chat and say anything that we're getting super wrong. So Matt, go ahead, break down this list.
Could you share me the screen again? Somehow it got lost.
It went away.
Went away.
Oh no. Let's do that again.
I mean, you could just see us at twitch.tv/podcast. If you ever want to watch live.
Okay, so we have Temin Wexley in the T-70 X-Wing with Composure, Jessika Pava with BB-8, and, well, all the X-Wings are going to have S-foils, naturally, and she's flying a T-70, Lieutenant Bastion in a T-70, and then Finn in the Resistance Transport.
In the heroic transport. Love it. It's a truth.
With a heroic perceptive co-pilot and pattern analyzer, so that's a pretty heavy Finn, but pretty tanky Finn at the same time. What I liked about this, Temin is the guy that when he does a 2 or 3, he can do a maneuver 2. Is it more than 2, or is it just 2?
I can go read it. I have it right here. So it says
2 to 4.
after you fill. Yeah, there you go. 2 to 4.
After you execute a speed 2 to 4 maneuver, you may perform a boost action. And most of us have seen the trick where with Composure, if you fail an action, you can perform a focus action as long as you don't have a green token. So Temin, he runs in a block and abuses a loft boost action, gets a focus, and then target locks. Lieutenant Bastion will just focus and hope that somebody does damage so he can get a target lock. Just Pava, she takes a focus, and then just with a BB-8 and her natural ability, just kind of naturally has a target lock. And then Finn with heroic perceptive co-pilot, and with the way that his ability is worded now, he can take a strain on defense and basically never suffer it. And then on offense, since he's so low in initiative, he can abuse, he can probably take that strain at that point and then use it to roll a 3-die attack that is going to have a lot of mods behind it. It's solid.
Marcel?
Yeah, I actually got first-hand knowledge of this. I got paired up against Ryan in round 7, and instead of so I was flying Luke, Wedge, and AP5, and instead of flying around, I decided to go gamble and come in and try to take out one of his ships before it shot, and I think I learned my lesson. So I did try to joust it, and Ryan needed to roll 2 evades in order for his ship to live. I went after Bastion first, and Bastion lived with 1 hull, and that allowed him to basically erase Luke before he can have a round 2. And I think part of what makes this list so good is how hard it is to do target priority. If you go after Jessika, you get the rerolls. If you go after Temin Wexley, you're kind of getting rid of the least powerful ship, at least while they're in formation. If you go after Bastion, it's a T-70, and Finn is sneaky good, even though it's only got 4 hull. And I was thinking back, like I think it would have been a different game had I gone after Finn instead of Bastion in that initial alpha strike with with 2 torpedoes. But the ability for Finn to be able to, and by the way, those watching on stream, I know we have the Theon's beautiful face covering it, but Finn with the perceptive co-pilot and all those other goodies.
There we go. I moved it out of the way.
It's so good for it to it's just it has the ability to evade so much that's the reason I didn't go after it. I know now that it's a mistake, because even if you add 2 evades, it's still a total of 6 hull with 2 additional evades versus a T-70 that's 7 health. So mathematically, I just didn't do the mental math to go after Finn first, and I paid for it. But Ryan put together an amazing list. I mean, just like Matt said, the action economy between all of these ships are basically getting double mods. Definitely their first engagement, but most of them are getting double mods on a regular basis.
And I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring up a little bit of a side tangent. Little shout out to the Carolina Crates. Okay, now if you watch our content because you enjoy X-Wing and also because we keep things 99% PG and family friendly, there's a 1% where we mess up, like last week when I hit the button again and then said a bad word. Sorry about that. So Carolina Crates started doing this clip show. That's their thing now, apparently, where they clip two things from us. Where we, the first one was a mistake I had, so I was correct. I was half correct, right? I said Leia works with Covanel's ability, and I also said that R4 works. R4 doesn't work with it. Okay, so yes, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. That was just my bad. But definitely still ask your TO because sometimes some TOs disagree. Whatever, done. The second part is that we, at first glance, we didn't understand the full offensive potential of Finn, and actually seeing it in practice, and especially the way that the ability works, which I don't know if we actually we talked too much about that. Let's go ahead and take a moment. Let me move Marcel's face and my face out of the way so that we can read Finn's ability. So Finn says, while you defend or perform an attack, you may add one blank result, and this is the part where it's important here, or you may gain one strain to add one focus result instead. So it says, while you perform an attack. So the timing of the strain token coming off, it's just really, really strained. Essentially, the strain basically never goes on the ship, is essentially how it ends up working out. It's really weird. It's just important to note that the strain doesn't appear on the ship.
Yeah, only on defense, really, though.
Right.
If he shoots, then it stays. But on defense, it's set up rules-wise that a strain token disappears after you defend.
Right.
But just the way the timing works, you've already rolled your dice, and then you add your strain token, so you're not rolling one less.
Exactly.
Current rulings.
Yeah, it might change. It might need an errata for his pilot ability specifically. I don't think they would errata the way strain works.
Yeah.
But
just
yes.
him, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So just a note there. I'm gonna take a peek in the chat. Ryan, you have anything extra for us to say about your list? Crickets. There's a delay. He'll throw it in there. But yeah,
can I just throw out a shout out to Ryan's wife for making cookies? They're wonderful.
Yeah, Ryan's wife, who set up a giant tray of cookies in front of me. I'm trying to make positive life choices.
Are you saying cookies are not positive life choices?
Not when you're trying to be less fat. They were delicious, though I did control myself. So originally Ryan wanted to place them like on the FFG table, and FFG's like, we cannot be associated with these cookies. Of course, every FFG employee came over and had cookies when they put it by the streaming table, but yeah.
Yeah, and basically, Ryan copy pasted again what he wrote a little bit earlier on, which is we were talking about flying this information and them having. Wexley having extra actions because of composure and Jessica's rerolls and etc. But he said also don't be afraid to break them out. Keep Finn and Jess Pava together, and then have Tammin and Lieutenant Bastian kind of flank to create a kill box if the scenario calls for it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, ultimately. Jess Power wants to have ships close by to get those rerolls, but Jess Power and Wexley wants to be able to fail a boost to get that double action without punishment. But But yeah, I mean, you can still take advantage of both if you fly them in pairs of two versus just flying them in a block formation.
Yeah. Temin is really good. I think he's I4. He's just really good by himself with composure because, I mean, he's got free action economy if you're doing a 2 to 4. If you need to chase somebody down, he is super quick. A 3 bank plus a bank boost, and then you can focus or target lock on top of that. That is solid.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, let's move on here to. I like Matt, but I was so confused when I saw his list. We're into number 2 here. Matt Cary flying Imperials. He's got the Tie. What is it? Tie V1s. Tie Advanced Prototypes is what a lot of first edition players call them. Matt, what's in your list?
So you got the Grand Inquisitor, who I call GQ. He's got sense for insurance against I5, I6 aces, fire control system, and concussion missiles. Then I've got 2 of the junior Inquisitors also in the TIE V1 with fire control and concussion missiles. And then I've got Colonel Jendon flying the Lambda just to toss out the lock so everybody can fire those missiles.
So, like, what you were sitting at home thinking, Gen Con, taps. Let's make it. No, seriously, what was the development of bringing this list to Gen Con? Was it because like everybody was saying, including myself, that it was bad? There is a note somebody actually posted on the Gold Squadron podcast Facebook that Dion said somebody might figure it out. And I said something along the lines like the person's going to have to be a really good player. I said something along those lines. And so I guess I was right in the end. So go ahead.
Well,
Give
I'm going to
us the
have to
info.
throw a lot of credit to, I'll call him a list architect in Arch Alliance named Mark Sanford. And he's just always coming up with, he's a scum flyer at heart. So there's tons of tools to play with there. And he's always coming up with some weird thing that I love to see. And this one he actually had made, I think, in the first season, I'll say, of points. And then it got cheaper, and then it got cheaper, and then it got cheaper. And we were going through a couple different iterations of it. Like at one point it had Death Troopers because they were useful when Resistance was on top because they were constantly stressing themselves. And then Soontir was stressing himself. So, and then Palpatine was on there because Jendon, was always coordinating. So he wanted something. And then also, if one of your Inquisitors spent the Force on defense, you could now spend it on offense if you had Palp. I don't know. I'm really fond of the TAP or the TIE V1 because I flew Valen Rudor a lot in first edition, and I really like the ship. It flies really well. And but the problem is damage output, which that's the reason why everybody's so big, so down on it, because with a Force Evade, you're not going to take damage unless somebody is consistently firing at you over and over and over again. So on the same turn specifically.
Right. Would you say that's the biggest strength of the TIE V1 is its durability?
Oh, definitely. I think Ryan on stream was saying that you need 5 focused shots to kill one statistically in a round. So yeah, if I have the focus and the evade, as long as I'm not at range 1, you're gonna have to put a lot of heat into a ship if variance plays out, which no, it doesn't always, but my first 2 matches didn't end up that way, and I'd say a little bit in the last match, but not enough to where I would blame the match loss on that. Carson flew great, but yeah, no, they're super tanky, and then it's but yeah, no, flying a couple different iterations of this list, and I like the Grand Inquisitor. Mark was flying just 3 regular Inquisitors, and I pumped up to Grand because I like having an ace. So that's my guilty pleasure.
So can you confirm or deny the rumor that you were paid by FFG to fly this list in order to boost Thai V1 sales for Wave? I'm just kidding. So that was, people were messing.
I'll deny that because I think the new one with the new paint scheme is like that Imperial blue, and it just looks really weird on the new one. I like the gray.
Yeah.
So don't buy them. I mean, wait, no.
Weird feelings. Yeah. So, yeah, man, just great job. I know I really enjoyed watching you play it on stream. But let me go ahead and stop jabbering here. Will or Marcel, what questions do you have for Matt?
I got a couple questions. Why not instinctive aim on the Inquisitors? Why don't you? Why not take advantage of their force abilities?
Well, instinctive aim, you need to spend a force to actually fire it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it is definitely a choice to look into. I haven't found that I like it because I always like having double modified dice, but it's not a bad choice. It's just not the choice for me.
Fair enough. Otherwise, no. I've been saying it before. Like the reason why they originally priced the Inquisitors and the Grand Inquisitor expensive is because they had the Force and white evades.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to give white evade to anybody else.
No, if
the Force,
I would have to slap somebody at FFG if they gave that to the Jedi. If they had a white evade, that would be miserable.
Well, so I can't talk about the source, but I know that I heard rumblings that originally the Jedi had white evade, and they're like, these things just won't die. They won't die.
I can imagine.
We got to change something, which then the invention of purple actions came about.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my only other question is, did you ever get yourself with one of those concussion missiles?
Yes, I regularly hit Jendon with it, but it's always a choice where it's like, I can risk it. Jendon's worth, only 46 points. So if I just happen to flip the direct, it's 5 in 33 chance that will happen. So I should be okay. And the only thing that I would hate is if I got you can only go straight maneuver when I'm close to the edge. But no, it's I think I hit him like 2 or 3 times throughout the entire tournament.
So next question here is, what game gave you the most difficult choice with who to lock with Jendon's ability? Is there one that stands out?
No, I typically just pick the biggest threat because either causes them to make that ship run away, or they come at me with it and then I just light it up. So I'll take it back. I had 2 different games against some T70s. One was on stream against Richard Zhu, and the other one was my second round opponent that I'm Ted, and I lost his name somewhere. I don't know what his last name was, but that first one I target locked Wedge and tried to do a lot of damage to him, and all of it was sucked away to a selfless X-Wing and to Biggs. And I learned from that lesson, and when I went against Richard Zhu, I just target locked Biggs, and it scared Biggs. So I was able to put damage in everybody else. And when I finally got shots on Biggs, he just melted.
Awesome. Marcel?
No, I think William asked actually the questions that I was going to ask. I'm a fan of instinctive aim on the Thai advanced prototypes. I actually been toying around even before the points instance. They got even cheaper with 3 of them with instinctive aim, concussion missiles, and then Sunterfell. I like this version better. I just never really paid a lot of attention to Colonel Jendon and how good Colonel Jendon really is. To give you truly double-modded shots. But yeah, yeah. I mean, no questions other than congratulations, and it always, it's got to feel real good to take something that everybody says it's not a good ship, and then do as well as you did with it.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had my ego just, because everybody's just keeps saying, hey, great job. You flew something that nobody, thought would have been good. Basically, the only thing I heard that Inquisitors were good for was throwing sense on one so you could see where your opponent was going to be and let all the good people shoot at him while he just kind of gets in the way. But yeah, like you're saying, I think the one weakness that I think is in the list is that without something like instinctive aim, I don't have any real way to put damage in aside from the concussion missiles. And if I don't have target lock on you, I'm just going to be slapping you limp wristedly.
Awesome, man. Well, great job. And let's go ahead and move on to the number one list, the only player to go undefeated here at Gen Con in the Swiss. And it was a scum list. Yes, a scum list. Let the scum players rejoice, scream from the top of the mountains. You are
He made Gold Squadron special work.
This is when I saw this, I was like, oh, it's back. So if you've been
Squadron special, he made it. He resurrected the archetype.
He found the second edition version of it. So if you've been around listening to Gold Squadron for the years we've been around, one of the lists that we championed for a long time was a list that revolved around Torkomux and basically being able to just delete ships before they got to fire. That's exactly what Mike Doyle did here. And Marcel, I'll give you the honors of reading it down. Go for it.
Sure. It's like Dylan said, it starts with Torkomux. Torkomux with the multi-curl title comes in at 55 points, and Torkomux's ability is basically at the start of combat you can choose a ship in your firing arc. Torko has two firing arcs with multi-curl title, and you make that ship an initiative 0. And Torkomux is, I believe, initiative 2. Then you have Captain Seevor at initiative 3, which reads that when you shoot or when you declare a target of your attack, you can jam that ship. And in this particular case, you're most likely shooting the ship that got brought down to initiative 0, and you are taking away its defensive tokens if it has any. And the 2 dice attacks against ships without tokens are actually pretty good. And then that's followed up with 3 Cartel Marauders, which are the Kiraz fighters, initiative 2. They have 5 hull, 1 shield. Basically, they're T65s with an extra hull instead of a shield at 38 points, which is 3 points cheaper than your T65s, which are a steal. Basically, they are T65s. I mean, maybe a little bit worse style, but they are T65s.
They don't get S foils.
They don't get S foils. They don't get the reposition, but just their stats are that. And in this particular case, they're flying in formation. They're 3 dice ships with six total health at 38 points. So anyway, 3 of these, basically Torkomux, they fly in formation. Torkomux points at something. Captain Seevor takes its tokens away, and you have a total of 4 3-die attacks if Torkomux is pointing at it, and Captain Seevor another 2 dice attack. And just completely delete. Just completely delete a list. I love this list. I wouldn't fly it. It's not my style of play, but I just love I love the way that it works together.
Will?
Oh, I'm definitely flying this list. I love everything about this list. I used to fly. It's funny that you guys used to fly the Gold Squadron Special, which I faced in a regional with my Boskin 2 Hawks, and basically trying to do the same thing. Your initiative 0. Let me take your tokens, and here's a punch to the face. But this is doing it with three dice attacks. I used to was doing it with Paylab, but you can just do it with Seevor. It's like the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, this is beautiful. 1 upgrade card. Beautiful.
And it's important to note here that Seevor is the highest initiative, so you strip the token before anybody in your list shoots. Take away your tokens, or your token. It's only one. Jam. And it's important to note that the jammer chooses which token it is, by the way, so that's helpful. If people have, like, target lock and a focus, they can be like, oh, I lose my target lock. You're like, no. Give me the focus. Matt, any thoughts on this one?
Being a Scum player at heart, I love that Scum went undefeated. That was when I heard that the top 2 from day 1 were Scum. I was like, what? Scum are bad in this meta. So I mean, and like Marcel said, it's not my style, but I love the dirty trick. It's so Scum thematic for a dirty trick that, I mean, if you get in the arc of those 3 Kirexes and Torkel, that means that you're dead. You're not gonna live to fire. It's ridiculous. And then Seevor's gonna steal or jam off whatever defensive token you have before all those guys fire at you. It's gonna hurt and it's gonna be brutal. And I love it. It's like I can't think of any ace. Vader, Anakin, Poe, anybody. If you get stuck, you're dead. You're gone.
I think Luke probably stands a chance just because he keeps regenerating that force every time he gets targeted.
Yeah.
But again, my match against Ryan Stanazewski, maybe Luke won't survive. Luke that.
Yeah.
I'm
everybody.
I'm angry with Luke.
Yeah, just like everybody, Luke is susceptible to blankouts.
Yeah. But so good.
One of the things when I was talking to Mike about it, he was telling me, he goes, people didn't realize that this wasn't Paylab. And that, like, Torkel Mux is not a ship that we've seen in the meta yet. But, like, it was funny. So, like, I was in the match that we had Mike Doyle on stream, I was casting with Ryan Farmer. And even Farmer kept calling him Paylab. And I'm like, Ryan, it's not Paylab. And I think, honestly, so Mike told me in 2 or 3 matches where somebody had a list very similar to what he played on stream. And one of his games was I think it was Wedge, Luke, and a U-Wing.
That hurt
right,
my
just
heart.
like Alpha Strike, I'm gonna come and get you. And he's like, I got Wedge, I'm gonna come. And Mike is like, so Mike sets down this list, and the 2 or 3 times his opponent just set up across from him and jousted because he's like, oh, I have a jousted list too. And Mike's like, mine jousts better because your ship is dead.
Yeah.
And it's just, it was just like, all right. And now the game begins. But that's what Mike's list does. Like, it's designed to just erase a ship off the table, assuming that you chose the right target. So any other thoughts on this list? I think, honestly, this is probably my favorite one out of all of them. But
Same here.
Yeah, I think there's. I mean, I do think that it has. I don't think this is definitely not an unbeatable list. Somebody beat it to make the cut. And also, once Torkel Mux makes its way out and starts getting more popular at how good Torkel really is, I think people will start figuring out, like, okay, I got to be a little bit more cagey at it and approach this as if I were approaching like a 7-ship energy shell swarm or something like that, and make sure that I've got just 2 or 3 arcs pointed at me at any given time. So this is a list that you can fly around if you have AC type ships, Vader, Sunter, and things like that, or if you can start blocking them, throw your ships in there to start keeping them from getting actions, and you can beat this list. But definitely until people start catching on, something like this, Torkel Mux is just going to catch people up. The combination of Torkel Mux and Captain Seevor are just going to catch people off guard and make it really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And I love it. I always love that.
Well, Torkoal Mux is going to bring balance to the Force. Stop! Don't joust Torkoal Mux with your Jedi. It's going to be a bad day. Just saying. All right. So overall, we've went through all 14 lists, and there were plenty of lists on the cusp that players that played really, really well that were one win away from possibly make it, players that went X and 2, and we'll try to touch on some of those when we have all of that data compiled. But I think number one takeaway from this is seeing the list diversity is absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping that going forward, especially in this month span, which I find it interesting. Of course, it's interesting that I'm traveling the world to stream all this X-Wing events, but we're going to be able to see literally from week to week, the competitive meta evolving around the newest points update. Because in reality, Gen Con is the first one where every ship and all the points, the newest points, are valid in the tournament. And we're going to be going to a couple of hyperspace trials, so we'll see some of that, but as well as other extended events like the X-Wing team tournaments, the Euros, Nova Open, the Australian System Open. I mean, I'm really excited to see what comes of this, and hopefully we get a really diverse meta. And then after all that, we will do faction rankings again and really see who is standing on top. Now, before we close everything out, Matt, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Hey, I'm glad to come. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Any shout outs before we let you go?
As always, I want to plug the blog that I co-write. It's Confessions of a Midwest Scrub. You can find it on WordPress. We typically post on Reddit and on the FFG forums whenever we release one. In fact, we released one today talking about Gen Con. And then just always shout out to my Arch Alliance buddies.
Yeah, Matt, make sure you send me the link to the latest post. That way I can put it in the description of everything.
We'll do that.
All right. Will, any shout outs? I know you didn't go to Gen Con, but you were, I'm sure you were thinking of everybody.
Yeah, just a big shout out to all the players on stream. That's what, I mean, in addition to you, Dion, it's how we get games streamed, how we bring everybody, how I can enjoy Gen Con from the comfort of my bed.
That's right. I did say I want to do some type of picture compilation project where we have pictures, people send in pictures of them. Like, how do you watch Gold Squadron podcast? Except you have to put on pants if you watch it with no pants. Okay, I get it. Listen, I understand. I am 100% comfortable with the fact that people might watch the streams while they're like going on the toilet. Like, it's fine. Like, it's
Not on the toilet. Just,
come on. You tell me you've never watched X-Wing while using the bathroom.
No, I definitely have.
Okay, then. I'm saying
I don't have to be on the toilet to be naked. I can.
I understand that. I was just trying to give a reasonable reason to be naked.
All right. Well, that was our 1% not family friendly.
Marcel, any shout outs?
Yeah, just shout out to, like always, just shout out to the community. Shout out to Aaron. Aaron,
Aaron Kroll, make sure, because there's lots of Aarons in the world.
So yeah, Aaron Kroll, coach from OCX. Big shout out to him for just having a really crazy Friday night party and being the reason why I was throwing up at 4 p.m. on Saturday. And that was actually a blast. And just shout out to everybody that I played. Everybody that I played was a blast. Everybody that I met was a blast. And congratulations to everybody who made either the top 14 or hit your goals. And actually, also a big shout out to somebody that came with me. It was his first tournament. His name's Tim. I don't think he listens to any of the podcasts. Maybe he does. But big shout out to him. He actually at the last minute got tickets to Gen Con and he drove up with us and made his first tournament. And he ended up going 1-6. And the best part about him going 1-6, it was his first tournament. Before that, he had never really been. He said that his other tournament that he had gone was a 6-person tournament at a Gaming Goat. And the best thing about it is exactly what I said, 1-6. That means he won 1 game, lost 6, but still stuck around for all 7 matches.
That's huge.
And that is huge. You know, that just shows like a really enjoyment of the game where I think a lot of us that play competitively, we're like, okay, I lost 3 games, so there's nothing to play for, so I'm just going to leave. And we forget that this is a game and you play for fun. You know, it's not, you're not just playing for the plastic. You're not just playing for the cards or for the prestige. It's a game. You're playing with people, you're shaking people's hands, you're rolling dice, and just seeing his enthusiasm, even at 1-6, being like, this is my first tournament. I won 1 game. And he's really excited to go to the next match. And then he played 2 hyperspace games the next day, and then 3 more on Sunday. I was like, that is some serious passion for the game. And it brings it back home about why we all started playing this game. And when we get to a competitive level, kind of tone it down, you know, and take it back down into like, oh, rules this and rules that and this and my dice did me in, and just play the game and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, my first tournament was the Indiana Regional in 2018, and I went 1-5 and still had a blast. So you just try to have fun when you play the games. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for listening and watching, everybody. If you haven't looked at our schedule for live streaming, it is absolutely ridiculous. So many events coming up. We also got weekly content, exclamation point events if you want links to all that. And if you're watching in the future, not live, the links to the current schedule, including all of our live streams, are available there as well. Remember to hit that Twitch Prime button. We do tons of giveaways live, so if you don't watch live, I would definitely suggest it, especially coming up in the Buenos Aires Open. I got some cool stuff cooking, so make sure you're watching. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube so you can get all the notifications when we upload the games that we've streamed, as well as other content. And of course, if you want to get that awesome Patreon swag that we talked about, those acrylic cards, all the things we do, number one source of support for our content is our patrons. You can go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron. I got a couple people asking in the chat, when do I need to upgrade to get that stuff? The answer is now. They're going to be shipped for Q3, so go ahead, get into the tier for the swag that you want, and we'll make sure you guys get that. And once I have pictures and all that, I will go ahead and post them up there. Well, thank you so much to everybody for joining us. My name's Dio Morales. Gold Squadron out. See you this weekend, guys.